Welcome to the Kept Under the Rug podcast. This is your host, Jose. It's episode 1. We're officially in the books here. Today's guest, we have a very good friend of mine. I'd say we're close friends. Yeah, we're close friends. We have Zuri Montgomery. We've known each other for like almost 10 years.
I think it's well over 10.
Jesus.
I want to say. When did we become friends? 2013?
Oh, yeah. Wow.
2012?
I think, I was in high school. It was 2012.
So, yeah, we're, 12 years friends?
Damn. Knee deep. That's crazy. We've never met each other in person.
That's the crazy, shout out to the internet to making us friends, but the fact that we have not been able to hang out in person just grinds my gear. And we live on the same coast.
Yeah.
Anyways.
We've always lived on the same coast. When I was in Mass.
Right. And then I moved, and the next thing you know, you're out here on the same coast. Clearly, life was like, let's make you guys friends, but never meet until you're 55. Yay.
We'll give y'all adult money, but the adult responsibility comes first, so y'all can't spend that just yet.
One day, friend, one day.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and let you introduce yourself. Plug anything you want to plug in there.
Well, sure. Yeah. So I'm Zuri Montgomery, AMFT, because I worked really hard for those letters. I'm an associate marriage and family therapist, currently in the Bay Area of California, about to go back and reside in Central Florida, which is where I'm from. I've been working for the last 6 years to accrue my license, so I'm going to be licensed soon. Going to be applying this year. So excited. I don't know. I have my background in psychology, African Black psychology. I'm an expressive arts therapist, which was really niche within the field. And I'm also a musician. I've always been a vocalist since like the age of 4, but it's mainly a side hustle. So right now I'm really just like a therapist, an educator, and I like to consult as well for like companies or people that kind of do business. Just I give them that psychological, social aspect of how things could look. And I do a lot of consulting for companies that work with children because I work with children a lot. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much me. Like
Yeah, I'm gonna be hiring you really soon. Anyways, let's see. But I feel like we need to catch up. Because like every time we connect, it's always after. It's always like 7 months, or I think last time we connected was like 2 years after. Like it's been a hot minute.
Listen, yeah, because I think I hit you up in Easter this year.
Yeah.
And I think by then it had been almost 2 years. So the fact that we still have kept up in the recent months since Easter this year is also insane, because that was only in what? April? Was that the end of March? Maybe beginning of April?
Yeah, beginning of April, yeah.
So yeah, that's crazy for one that we're still talking in June.
Yeah, we're breaking a record.
Period. Shout out to us. But no. I mean, part of like my life right now, just randomly got ghosted / broken up with. Weird.
Yeah. That was a weird one.
But also like I'm moving back home and I get to take like a road trip, so I'm excited to do that. I'm an auntie.
You did say you were driving back to the East.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an auntie, which is something you already know, but like I'm very, very protective of my babies, of all my babies. So that is something that I feel like I also carry that into the work I do with kids. So I just kind of become everybody's favorite auntie or like cousin when I work with teenagers. So I love it. It helps because I have like little ones who really love me. So I can tell like, oh, these kids are being genuine versus these kids like they're just trying to get something out of me. So it's a really good indicator. But yeah, I mean, outside of like a breakup, life itself was like pretty okay. Like it was pretty chill, nothing crazy. I mean, grief is an ever going thing, but we kind of grow around it. And I feel like I've grown around it enough to where in the last 4 years, at least, like I'm definitely in a better place. Yeah. And, even though it's a hardship in a sense right now, it doesn't feel as hard. It just kind of feels like oh, okay, yeah, I have to get through this next part of the journey. Like, it really does feel like a hurdle, and so
Yeah.
to me, that lets me know I've grown because the last time I experienced heartbreak like this was when I moved out to the Bay Area about 6 years ago, and
Mhm.
I felt like it was the end of the world. I didn't know how. I was just like, oh my god, I don't want to wake up. Like, this is terrible. Life is horrible. Then I moved to California, and I'm like 3,000 miles away from everybody I know and love. This is stupid. And this time I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, it is what it is. Like, people suck. people just people can't express themselves. I think the difference is I realized it had nothing to do with me, and
Mhm.
that I can do my own internal work, but I can't expect everybody else to be doing the same, or to know how, or to feel ready to do it. And so I think having that knowledge in my head now, and having had like other relationships or situationships in between this breakup, yeah, it hurts, and I also know I'm better for it because
Yeah.
I feel like this is cliche, but I say it all the time. What's for me is for me. It won't miss me. It won't hurt me intentionally, and it won't be misguided intentionally. Like, we're human, so we're gonna make mistakes. But people that like want to be for you, they're gonna make a mistake. They're gonna own up to it, and
Yeah.
vice versa. So yeah, I mean, I feel like really that's all that's been going on with me. Like, I just be watching anime. I've been reading books more. I'm really not excited about packing because I only really have to pack clothes, and I feel
Yeah.
like my ADHD leaves me with a mountain of clothes. So it's like I gotta throw some of this shit out. So I'm also like, now I gotta say goodbye to a comfort T-shirt. Bitch, it's just so much. Like, I'm more sad about packing than I am the breakup.
And
That's
they're
where I
about
am in
moving.
life.
How about the breakup?
No, not even about moving. Like, everybody expects me to be super sad. Like, dang, I was supposed to marry him. No, forget him. I gotta pack a mountain of clothes. Like, I have to go through these. And then there's more in the closet. What? I need my life
And then your
together.
furniture too. You're just getting rid of your
Oh,
furniture and all that.
throwing it all out because I got furniture at home. I'm gonna end my little check-in real quick after I say this. Thank God for a parent, because I'm only down to one right now. Thank God for a parent that does not mind you moving back in and has a room furnished because she just likes to have guest rooms in her house. And it just happens to be your old room. So, yay. Uh, so, yeah, no, my mom has my bed, like my old bed. Mind you, it's still my dresser, my bookshelf. Like,
Oh,
girl,
so it's like you never left.
you wanted me to come back. You just, yeah. And I have stuff at home in the dresser right now. Like, I take stuff home
Yeah.
and I would just kind of leave stuff every now and then, like, I'm coming back. So, yeah.
And now you're really going back.
I was doing it like, just to have extras when I'm home. No, I'm really going back. I'm really coming back.
It's like what you were saying about how you first like moved out to the West Coast. So when I moved out here,
Mm-hmm.
I was in a relationship at the time, um, which ended like 3 months later. Yeah, and it just ended 3 months later. But it was like it was like shit that I had to work on like myself, things that I had to
Mm-hmm.
realize. But I ended up going back home for a few months and coming back, and it was like that same feeling of like, why am I still here? Or, like, I don't have anybody out here. Like, making friends
Mm-hmm.
was honestly a shit show.
Yeah.
And especially because I kept looking for like the same sense of community in Massachusetts, where I
Mm.
had people who spoke the same languages and um, understood the same things I went through. And then now it's like I'm in a whole new state, in a whole new city, where everybody only loves to hike, and it's confusing because
Right.
you know, I was like, nah, I don't like to hike. I don't even own hiking boots. You know what I mean? I just have
Right.
sneakers and slides. I just got my first pair of Crocs because my younger brother told me about it. Like, I'm like,
Okay,
you
but I
know what I
love
mean?
Crocs. Shout out to
I
Crocs.
don't. That's what I'm saying. I don't wear anything else besides my Crocs unless we go to the gym. You know
Period.
what I'm saying? So it's like, all right, um, but not. And then it took me a while, but I ended up making like a good amount of friends here, which taught me a lot. I still don't like hiking, but um, they teach me a lot about Portland and just Oregon itself. Took a few like road trips. Um, but yeah, it's been cool. It's been eye opening. It's been eye opening.
Mhm.
Now I'm just trying to figure out. So I am going to be here for like another year, but
Okay.
it's figuring out, do I want to end up going back to Mass? Do I
Mm.
want to pick another state?
Ooh.
Because at some point I do want to live out of the country. Like I do plan on moving out of the country.
Same.
You know, I'm tired.
I
I'm
just
tired of
want to
being
become a nomad and
here. You
disappear.
know,
Like I don't want to have
change
to
my
worry
name
about
around.
a. Listen, I don't want to worry about the mountain of clothes. I want to just buy clothes in another country and then be like, all right, I'm off to the next place. Like, yeah, I
Start
feel that.
backpacking.
I feel that. I don't know what it is about moving and transition that causes people to exit our lives, but I don't know. The fact that you said that something similar happened to you, but it happened the opposite way. Like, oh, okay, we moved together now.
Yeah.
Life. Like, oh, okay, all right. That's
Yeah.
just
Yeah. No, that's no idea. It's like I guess like with change comes change. You know what I mean? So
yeah. But I get that
change comes all
community.
around.
Yeah, I get the community piece as well because that could be tough when you're. I don't know. I feel like when you're somebody that you're really big on community, but you may also be a person who's always like I won't say central point in the community, but people
Hmm.
tend to come to you a lot. That feels harder to make community because sometimes
Yeah.
you want to be able to like fall in the community and not have to be a leader. And then people find out you have these leadership qualities and they like thrust you into it. And it's like, why can't I be a background character for some time?
Yeah. I just want to be an NPC.
You know,
You
like,
know, like I don't. I just want to be walking around minding my business, but like,
hello, can
which
you
is,
just
at the same time it's cool though. You know.
like, can you just walk up to me as the main character? You hit me on accident, and I'm like, whoa, buddy, chill, and I keep walking. I
Yeah.
don't,
But, oh my bad, and they just walk away.
I
And they
don't
just
want it to
walk
start
away.
a, I don't want it to start a fight sequence. I don't want to be, I don't want to be none of that. No, please. I just want to here's the gold coins you need. Go on your adventure. Like, but no. Mm-mm.
It's like it's crazy because like so back home, there's like so me being Cape Verdean, there's a lot of us out there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Coming out here, I met one Cape Verdean
Oh.
since I've been here, and that was last year. And so like I have his number and everything, and we'll like talk every now and again. But it was cool to kind of like connect with somebody who understood, you know, like things that we had both gone through and things that we both understand. And he was from, I think he said he was from Massachusetts as well, and he moved out here about like 15 years ago, which is crazy. Because I'm not gonna lie to you,
Mm.
I knew Oregon was a state, but mentally,
Mm-mm.
I was like, this isn't even a place. And then until I moved out here, it seemed like one of those places that existed but would never be visited. And now here I am in the middle of these trees. But
Yeah.
um, I wanna walk into your profession real quick.
Okay. Let's talk.
So, how long have you been in the field?
Oh, of therapy or I
Yeah.
guess psychology in general.
Um. Let's go back. Let's start with psychology.
Well, yeah. So the psychology field itself, definitely since college. That's when I
Yeah.
started getting my bachelor's in psychology. I'll say my love for psychology started in high school for sure, but
Okay.
it didn't. Like I said, it didn't manifest until I really got into college. I actually was a music education major and a psychology minor,
Mm-hmm.
and I hated my first freshman like fall semester. Like the summer was easy because I was taking prereqs, and then
Mm-hmm.
I got into the fall and I had to take actual like music classes, and it made me start to hate music. And I also fractured my foot, so I couldn't get to the music building the way I needed to. And but it just was like if I had been in just psychology, all those buildings I'd been able to get into easy and fine. Life would have been easier. But I also knew ultimately it wasn't just about my foot. It was like I'm not enjoying this the way I really do enjoy music. So
Mm-hmm.
called my parents crying. And my dad was like, "So just switch your major." And I was like, "It's that easy." He was just like, "Yes, you're in college. Like
You can
we'd
do
rather you call us
that.
about this crying than like saying you dropping out." All right, bet. So spring semester, I'm taking all psychology classes with music as my minor, and I loved music a lot more because of it. And I started like learning about research and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. But I also noticed I was really good at offering people guidance, and I was really good at psychoeducating. And I figured that out in my psychology of prejudice and racism class because I had a professor, Dr. Tani, shout out to him. he one of the best professors at FAMU. Hold up, because I didn't even shout out my alma mater, because I went to the Florida A&M University, located in Tallahassee, Florida. Thank you very much. But Dr. Tiny was one of the best professors I had, because he really challenged us to really think outside the box, but also think within it and use what we know to assess psychology in a real way. And so we really talked about what racism and prejudice can look like, how it comes about. And one day we come into class, he has chairs up front, and that man was like telling random people to sit down. And as I'm walking in, he goes, sit at the front. And I looked at him like, no, I want to sit in my normal seat. Like, I sat close to the front, but like, you have me facing the classroom now. So I sat down, there's a piece of paper on the chair, and I'm like, okay, whatever. And then one of my best friends, he's in that class too. He tells him to sit in the front. That's okay. At least it ain't just me, cause so my homie sitting next to me, and we like, bro, what is going on? I don't know. Okay, we just got this piece of paper. Come to find out, he thought we were leaders in the classroom, like us and maybe like 4 other students. So he had us facilitate the conversation for the day, which was us dissecting FUBU by Solange. And I feel like in that moment, I knew like, okay, if other teachers are seeing it, I must clearly be good at this educating aspect where I can have a conversation with peers and we all leave better for it. Like, it's not just me imparting knowledge, but me as a person, I can also be very teachable. And so I was like, okay, maybe I could do something with psychology and teaching. And as I graduated a semester early, I was like, I don't really know what I want to do. Do I want to be a therapist? I don't really want to tell people what to do for the rest of their life, but it is kind of fun. And I was really good with the therapy theories, like Gestalt and psychodynamics, Freudian, all of that. So cool. I ended up applying, and I got into CIIS, which is out here in San Francisco. And I told my parents, yeah, I got in. I'm gonna move to San Francisco. And they were like, okay, you sure? Yeah, I think. And I feel like that's when everything just started changing for me. Like, I had never lived that far from home. Tallahassee was only like 3 to 4 hours from Orlando. I could go home every weekend if I wanted to. And I did for the most part. Or my parents could just come see us. And both of my brothers were still living in the area up until my brother moved to DC to pursue a job. And then my other brother had moved to like North Florida, like a different part of North Florida, but then he moved to Orlando. So I'm like, everybody on this coast, why would I do this? So something just like pushed me. And I'm glad I did, because I got my master's in counseling psychology with my concentration is expressive arts therapy. And so what made me realize
out here?
Yes, and that's what I do now.
Okay.
And what made me realize I was already kind of doing expressive arts therapy was the fact that things like that class that I did where we dissected a song to talk about how life really affects African American people, or the fact that I had been doing these like community forums where I always had somebody either spit a poem at the beginning or somebody sing a song, or we incorporated art. We were meeting in an art studio, like an actual like exhibit for these mental health community forums to just have a conversation, and I call them soul therapy. I was already doing expressive arts work. I just wasn't a licensed yet. I didn't have the letters behind my name. So I was already doing the work. Then I got to school like, oh, this is easy. Like, I know how to do this stuff. So much that like one of my professors, at one point we did a group therapy exercise and I had to be the leader. And she cried. One, because I was one of the only Black women in my cohort. She was also a Black woman. She was the only one in her cohort when she went through the program, same school. But she said I was masterful. Like, she was like, you just displayed mastery at holding a group, holding space for the group, guiding it if it was a group therapy session. And that had a lot of weight on me because I was like, whoa, masterful. Like, I don't feel like I'm a master of nothing. So for you to tell me I'm good at like holding groups' attention, and I feel that. That's cool. And so it really certain things like that really helped me stay in the profession, to where this past 2 years I was running psychoeducation and like social skills groups in different schools, elementary and middle. And I finally delved into private practice. And so I've also done crisis intervention work, like where I worked IOP and PHP. And then I worked at an elementary school as well, doing one-on-one in a high school. But I mainly really love running groups just because, yeah, it's been a thing for me. And so in this profession, I've realized like I'm a good group leader, good group runner. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's showing me like where I want to go in this profession. Like I kind of want to have more specialty groups for people to have that space to talk stuff out. Because sometimes everybody can't afford traditional talk therapy, yet it's still therapeutic to have a space to have people hear you out.
Yeah.
And so that's something that like now I'm leaning into as I get ready to move back to Florida. Once I get licensed there and here in California, because I'm still see virtual clients, I plan to open like groups. So soul therapy will eventually become specific topic groups for people to come to regularly. And, I'll sit in with them and just kind of keep things monitored. But ultimately, they facilitate the whole conversation. I'm just there to offer extra space and make sure things don't go awry. But yeah, so that's where I'm moving, like private practice and running groups. Really just psychoeducating people, anybody that would be willing to hear and learn more about themselves and the world around them that way.
Now, are you also looking to do things like virtually or just keep everything in person?
Virtual, yeah. So all my California clients will be virtual.
So you're still keeping that? Okay.
Yeah, I actually love telehealth. I don't know. I'm one of them therapists that do, and it's not because I don't know. Don't get me wrong. I like sitting in front of people, and that's good
Mm-hmm.
too. But I think I'm also really good at telehealth because at the time I started my internship, the pandemic started, and so we were forced into virtual. So I
Yeah.
never got the initial. I'm going to this school every day to see these kids in person. They only ever knew me through a computer screen. And that
Okay.
was
Yeah, that
that
makes
was
sense.
that was like weird for me at first, but then I just got used to it. And then my crisis job was still during the pandemic, so they also like I was running groups there through a computer. Seeing people in person was not something I had done yet until I started private practice. And then I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, I like this, but I like the flexibility of like I can see this person anywhere. I don't have to go to the office. I can be home. And as long as I have a quiet space and headphones, this is literally meeting HIPAA. So like, wow, this is cool. Like
You
they can
can
do this
keep
from
all that.
what I'm saying? They can do it from the comfort of their home. They can have their tea, their coffee, their comfort pillow, their comfort blanket. They can kind of like lounge. They don't, because even in my sessions, I tell people you don't have to sit up straight on the couch. If you want to lay down like this is traditional psychoanalytic therapy, that's cool. But we still gonna have a conversation. Like my therapy style is not one you can pinpoint to just one theory. So you can do whatever you need to do to be comfortable. And so I love my clients being comfortable. It gets them to talk more. They are willing to go into the depths of what we're talking about a bit more. And sometimes it helps them because if they're in person with me and there's nothing to really shield them from me, then I can feel their resistance. And so I don't know. I find myself like some clients are easier in person, some clients are easier online. So I like both.
Yeah, I'm going to say I'm like an easier online. I try the in-person therapy,
Hmm.
and I'm not gonna lie, I hate it.
Yeah.
I going to the office. It felt I don't. It felt more pressured than anything. Like I had to like force myself to talk about everything compared to just like being comfortable and talking.
Yeah.
It's like so. I'd much rather the virtual. And I guess COVID doing that was like all right. Yeah, now everything's online.
Hmm.
Um. So yeah, that's.
Yeah.
Do you have your own? I'm assuming that's yes. You have your own therapist, right?
I did. So, and I plan to get
Did.
back into therapy. Yeah, no, I have. So,
Did. I'm sorry.
no. I had her for all 3 years of grad school and a fourth year
Mhm.
after when my dad passed.
Yeah.
But I stopped. Ultimately, one, it was a financial like situation.
Yeah.
I had paused with her, but then we were also getting to a point of she kept wanting to talk about things that I'm not even saying that I wasn't ready to talk about. It just wasn't on my radar. Like
Hmm.
it didn't affect me at the time. And so it was like, girl, you keep trying to push conversations that I'm not trying to have. And it wasn't like a resistant thing. Like it was like, I don't even know why we're
I
talking about this.
my hello.
Yeah. Did I
Oh,
go out?
not yet. No, I thought it chopped up for a little bit. My
Oh.
I had a therapist in
Mm-hmm.
2020 after the breakup after I moved out here. Um, and actually she was great. She actually had passed earlier this year. Um,
Mm.
and
Oh.
but like she was, and the thing, she was like very upfront with me. Like I tell my therapist, like anytime I'm looking for someone, I'm like, if I'm messing up, tell me I'm messing up. You know, like call me out on everything. Just like it's fine. You know what I mean? Because I would hate to sit with someone and just have them be like, yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and like the like cliche therapist that you see on TV, the whole like, how does that make you feel type shit, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
do that. You know
And
what I
how
mean?
and how
And
does
I
that make you
hated
feel?
it. You know? And I was like, yeah, I don't feel like talking anymore. But like she was like, she'd call me out on my shit and she'd like cuss me out. Like she had no problem
That,
doing that.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So
we
and I
love
tell
it.
her, I'm like, I'm not gonna rat you out, you're fine here. You know what I mean? You can say whatever you need to say. Like there are times she's like, Jose, what the fuck you doing? I'm like, yo, I'm sorry. You know what, you're right.
Sometimes
You
you
know?
need that.
You
Sometimes you
know?
need it.
And so she had passed earlier this year, and
Oh man,
I
sorry to
found
hear.
yeah, it was nuts because she passed the day after our session.
Ooh,
And like I had like called her office because I was trying to get in touch with her, and they had said that she had passed in her sleep, and
was
so
she
I was
older or
I'm like in her not too much older. She was like in her 60s.
okay?
She wasn't that old.
Yeah, but
I
she
guess there were
just
some
yeah
underlying health issues that she had.
yeah.
Um,
Well, at least she passed peacefully and got to see her clients.
yeah, I'm hoping I was her favorite because we had a lot of shit
Oh
we talked about.
Lord,
Though. Hey, let me live. But
you
not.
might have been one in her many years of being a therapist.
Then so I ended up finding another therapist, and this dude he's from Alabama,
Ooh,
and he's like in his late 50s,
uh-huh.
just old, like not old, but he's like Southern black old school man, and
Okay.
it's like I feel like I'm talking to like the grandfather I never had when I talk to him, and
Hmm.
we've only connected twice so far,
Okay.
and he's like very like welcoming. He cussing me out too. He has no problem like cussing me out, like like the like the shit that I'll tell him, and then his reaction, like he'll stop writing and take his glasses off and just look at me like through the camera. I'm like, I'm
Mhm.
feeling like
Mhm.
lasers are hitting me right now.
That's what you
I
got to
don't
do
like
sometimes. That's what you got to do. Listen, I love him already. Love it.
No, he's great. Actually, Uh, I wanted to have him on an episode here one day, but he said that might be a conflict of interest, considering that he is my therapist. I'm like, yeah, I can't have you cussing me out here on my own show. That's gonna be crazy. But
Yeah, like it would also because you also wouldn't want it to turn into therapy while you're on the podcast. That
yeah,
would
you
break
feel
and
me?
violate so many laws. Wait till but if you ever stop working with him, then you got to wait 2 years. Then you can have him on the podcast.
Oh, 100%, 100%. I
Mhm.
didn't want to do that with him. But he's definitely someone I enjoy talking to and hearing about like his life as well.
Okay.
Um, but
Mm.
yeah, no, it was kind of insane to kind of like go through losing um that therapist, and then next thing you know, and then before that, I actually had like lost my grandmother earlier this year. I had
Mhm.
to like fly back to mass, and we had buried her for
Mhm.
the funeral. I think we're in June. Yeah, it happened in April. April 8th is when I got the news.
Was that right
Came
after
flying
we
up.
reconnected?
I think so.
Oh, I'm so
I think it
sorry.
was like right after. Yeah, yeah.
Because Easter, I want to say Easter was that first weekend of April,
I think so. No,
or it was the
Easter was
10th.
like the last. Easter was as crazy. Easter was the last Sunday of March.
It was the 31st.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I felt like April though, because it was like the end of March.
Mm-hmm.
So you got it like 2 weeks later. Yeah. Wow, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, it was intense, then going back home, seeing everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it was and then I was now like meeting Charles and telling him about everything. Um, so he's been a big help in these last few sessions that we had. So in your like experience with things that
Mm-hmm.
you've seen, how are you able to kind of keep that separate from what you go through, as far as like, obviously you see people and a lot of people like to empathize with other folks that go through.
Yeah.
And so like how are you able to kind of keep that separate from what you're going through and not let it kind of affect you on your day to day?
Oh. A lot of processing on my own, a lot of journaling, whether it be voice memos or writing it out. Um, I'm really big on gratitude and reminding myself that the way I sit with people as a therapist, like I feel like I have a therapist brain. So like therapist brain versus my normal brain versus like my singer brain. So I'm able to compartmentalize. Like I don't like to intellectualize my feelings because some people kind of, you're right, it's a thin line. You can compartmentalize, but then you start to intellectualize and not feel your feelings, and that's different. Whereas I compartmentalize and let myself know, like, hey, you got to be here for this client right now. Check in with yourself. Do you have the bandwidth? All right, we got the bandwidth. So what we can do is we're not ignoring how we're feeling. We're going to let us sit with how we feel, but we're going to focus on what this person is saying. And it becomes easy because then I kind of think of it as like this person is telling me their life story. And I truly, as an individual, like before I got into therapy, I enjoy people's life stories. So it helps bring it in like, oh, okay, yeah, what you talking about today? What's going on? Oh, that's crazy. But it also gives me a chance to, let's say I've had a few clients deal with like similar things at the same time and they never knew I was dealing with the same thing. But it helped inform what was going on for them. Like, so for example, I had a client, and this is like an old client that I don't see anymore. I had a client while I was in my program. While they were in a program that I was working for, they were dealing with the loss of a parent, and they didn't know I had lost my parent. So we really had a good conversation just around grief. So we never had to, I never had to say, oh, I just lost my father like 6 months ago or a year ago. But I was able to say, grief is really tricky. And I could talk about it from a real personal point because everybody deals with grief. They just didn't know we had a similar grief. And so I remember after I finished working with them and they were leaving the program, they were graduating, they left me a note and they were just like, the way you so kindly spoke about grief and still allowed me to like fall apart, but then help me put me back together was just like something I've never experienced. And I don't think they realized for me, I felt the same way because I didn't, as a therapist, it's not our job to tell people our personal business. We're listening to yours and offering perspective, guidance. We don't really offer advice. We help you do like introspective work and things of that nature. We just kind of guide you in the right direction if you so choose it. But they didn't realize how healing that was for me to sit there and talk about that. Because at the time, I was talking about it with my therapist, but she may not have experienced a grief as heavy. She's experienced grief before, and I remember her empathizing with me on that. But I took it a step further to just kind of talk about, my experience with grief with that client without saying everything, and it worked. And so then I found myself going, okay, there is ways to kind of be really personable with clients and they still don't know anything about you for real. So I just kind of remind myself when I go into a room with a client or in a session, we're all human, including me. I'm not a robot. So I'm not going to be like somebody who's not going to experience life stuff. It's going to happen. And being able to also be a less biased and remind myself that when people do things, it's usually a reflection of them or trauma or how they feel they've been treated. And once you can figure out which one it is, you kind of know how to move. So like if it's trauma, you just got to kind of help somebody remember, you're not going through the trauma again right now. That's just what your body's used to. Versus if this is just a way they have always been and nobody's really corrected it and now they're realizing there's another way to go, you just gently nudge them to the other direction and be like, hey, maybe try this perspective. If it's just, them not being ready to explore something, or they really were just offended by something you said, then more than likely it's just a misunderstanding. And then you got to figure out how to help them reconcile. So it's just like there's multiple ways of being with people. And I just remind myself simply, this ain't about me in this moment. While I can learn from this, I'll take what I need to take from it internally without them knowing. versus I'm not gonna make this session about me just because I have a similar thing. But I may respond in a way that I like let them know that I feel that, because I have my favorite client now always telling me something I've either been through or I'm going through, and I'd be like, girl, and she'd be like, you feel me? And I'd be like, yes, like I do. So X, Y, Z, blah, blah, but I never still, like, she wouldn't know a personal thing about me. The most personal any of my clients know is that I'm leaving the state of California. That's it. They
So
don't
you're
know
able to
how.
dive into everything without actually giving any detail, just to kind of that's dope.
It comes with the job.
I have trouble with that sometimes.
Yeah, and I feel like some people think that makes therapists cold, and I feel like no, it's just not your job to come in here and know my personal business. I'm supposed to know yours. You know, I would tell you if we could be friends, but I don't have to. That's not why you're here. You're here about you, not me.
And so that's like, obviously, I'm definitely not anywhere near a therapist. For some reason, a lot of people just like to come to me with their issues. Dude, it's like, so. It's like a tangent, real quick. When I was in university, I was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I switched my major like 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
I started off in mathematics. I started off with computer engineering. Then went to mathematics, went to psychology, and I was like, "This is dark. I'm gonna stay here." And then I realized, I'm like, if I don't like my problems, I'm not gonna like anybody else's problems. And so I went from psychology to English, and so I graduated with English major, and I'm not even teaching. So now I'm in sales. So everything's all over the place. But
interesting.
But I'm still getting those folks, like a lot, like friends specifically. That's why I kept saying, I'd love to be an NPC. You know what I mean? Just not have to deal with things sometimes, because obviously everyone's going through something. And then when I'm going through something, that's when everyone's like, yo, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? I'm like, and now you have to kind of feel like you have to push your own shit to the side and kind of help things out, because you hate being that person that tells somebody no, or that tells your close friends, like, I can't right now.
Right, because it feels, trust me, I've been there before. I was the quote unquote strong friend. I do not ascribe to that no more. I am just a friend who is doing their best while you are also doing your best. And like you said earlier, we're close friends. So it's like, I recognize sometimes friends need space, not because they hate me. And that's a personal thing. Like, I had anxiety around friends leaving because that had happened to me before in high school, where my friends turned on me my senior year, and it was just the worst. So it was like, I got into college I don't ever want to do anything where my friends just leave me. So at one point, I wasn't really telling them anything, but I was being the strong friend so they wouldn't leave. And then when stuff started happening for me and I had to say something, it was like, oh, yeah, no, I can't be your strong friend. I can't keep saying yes. I'm not your therapist. I know I'm studying to be one soon, but I'm not. And
not your therapist.
And then getting into therapy school, I really had to set boundaries. Hey, you can't just text me anymore and say, just info dump. And even when they did do it, it still felt like a lot. I just didn't have the words to set the boundary. So I have wanted to be an NPC for so long now. NPC me, please. I would greatly appreciate it.
I'm trying to get better with it. I'm trying to get better with I'm trying to get more familiar with the word no. Not even in a disrespectful sense, but it's just I need, I got shit I got to do for me too,
Yeah.
And so when I get messages or random calls at random hours of the day, it's like, yo, can you help me with this? Or this person did this to me. I'm just like, you got to handle that one. It's especially if it's a situation that I would never even be near.
Right.
So how am I supposed to elaborate or kind of help with any kind of that situation in that sense?
Right. I actually don't know what I would do in this situation. So
I asked him, is this advice that you're looking for, or are you just looking to just vent? Because vent is fine. If you just need to talk, it's cool. But advice on a situation, I don't know what to do. Why are you getting attacked by an elephant at 3 a.m? I don't know what to do in a situation. You know what I mean? That's
we
not
would have to have
me,
a
bro.
lot of questions. I would have way too many questions because, no, for real, why are you being attacked? What did you do to this elephant? But that's what my brain gonna go. You did something.
Yeah, you had to. Yeah, it's always them. You just blame them.
You provoked this elephant because ain't no way the elephant was minding his business. Like that lady, I know this is off topic, but it's like that lady that the elephant apparently went to her funeral and stomped on. Like, girl, you did something with that elephant.
What?
You never heard of that?
No.
Okay, this is random. But we have to talk about it. No. So, I can't even remember what country it was in, but it was a story. It was on Twitter, and it was like people did a news story. This elephant apparently came to this lady's funeral and stomped on her again, or like on her, because apparently the lady had done something, I guess, to her. Like the elephant found her tribe or her town and just was like, nah, I wasn't done. Like, unfinished business. It was just crazy.
Nah.
And people
I'm sorry.
People forever were like making jokes on Twitter about the elephant coming, like popping up to the funeral. Like, it was happening a while ago, but that junk was funny.
Oh, this was 2 years ago. This was 2 years ago this month, July 17th, 2022.
Not me bringing it up. What you mean, July or June? Because it's June.
I'm sorry, June 17th. Oh,
yeah,
look,
3
you
days.
picking up the anniversary?
We 3 days out. Look at that. See, it was in my spirit.
This episode is going to be released on the 17th too. So.
I'm
the
psychic.
The headline: Elephant kills woman and returns to her funeral to attack her corpse. Okay, you know what? Nah, I gotta be that later on.
See, I was like, I thought it killed it. I thought the elephant was the one that killed her. That's why I said it came back, because the elephant said unfinished business. But let's talk about how funny that is. That is happening on the 17th. That happened on the 17th. You're releasing on the 17th. And I just want to
And I never heard about it until you just said it just now.
Listen, I want to address this myth, though, that psychotherapists and psychologists are psychics. We are not. I cannot read anybody's mind. I just want anybody listening to this to understand. Your therapist, your psychiatrist, your psychologist, your life coach cannot read your mind. No one can. So if you're in a relationship or friendship or any type of ship, thinking people gonna read your mind and know what you need, they won't. Because if we can't do it, then other humans cannot. Unless there's some meta humans out here that are hiding. Also, please come kidnap me if you are, because I'm sick of it.
Hold up. You're choppy right now. You're a bit choppy.
Oh no, it got choppy?
Hold up, you're a little choppy on that side. Okay, no, you're good. It started cutting off right when you talk about meta-humans, and then...
Oh, I was telling the meta-humans, see, look, somebody...
Yeah.
Listen, they started chopping it up, because they were like, ma'am, stop talking. They were like, stop speaking about it.
Stop lying.
Stop speaking about us. No. But what I was saying was, like, I had to address that, because I feel like people often ask me that, too. Like, oh, you know what I'm thinking right now. No, I don't. Like, I can assess your mood, maybe.
I used to think that. Like, growing up. Like,
I think people get that from being able to assess somebody's mood, or really just listening to what someone says and being able to kind of suss out what they're not saying. And they think that's reading somebody's mind. Whereas more so, no, we're trained to be very observant. So I don't think people get that about therapists. Like, when we go through our training, depending on where you go to school too, like my school is very non-traditional. So they really up the being observant in the ways of knowing by making us actually go through things that we would actually do with clients. So we would always have experientials. We would always have somebody have to volunteer to do something in front of the class as if they were a client. So we would really feel and act like we were clients. And so it's like, okay, if I can observe this in me, then I can observe this in someone else. It may show up differently, but I can probably still spot it. I'm really good at spotting when people are sad or avoiding conversations. And I was always good at it. But then when I got to therapy school, I became really good at it. What makes the difference is knowing when to actually bring it up or just let it slide.
Yeah.
And I let my clients slide. But then if I notice, okay, they keep avoiding the same topic. I done asked the same question 3 different ways, and they're still talking about something else. That's when you bring it up. Hey, I noticed, you're avoiding this question a lot. And they'll go, what are you talking about? Well, I asked you this way, I asked you that way, I asked you this way. And X, Y, and Z were your answers each time. Is there something about this question you don't like? I could drop it, but I'm just very curious. And I think that's what gets people to open up. You got to be curious. Because if you're doing this to try and make them feel bad, then people are going to close off. Whereas if you come from that point of curiosity because you're being observant, that's really what gets people to open up. So it's we're not reading y'all minds. We can just tell when you're not wanting to tell us something. We can tell when you're trying to fake an emotion. Especially if you come in one way all the time and then suddenly you're a bit somber. You just go, oh, I'm just a little sad about stuff going on. A little sad, a lot of sad. Like, how are we
And then
really
you
feeling?
can tell like idiosyncrasies too, like these people just randomly coming in, or like at least like friends that I have, like I can tell when certain friends are feeling. Because I have a friend that what she'll do is like she'll like twiddle her like thumbs whenever she's feeling low, or like me whenever I'm like frustrated. I like it's always my right leg that just bounces, like when I'm sitting down.
Yeah.
So just like little things that people do, and it's like, all right, something wrong with him. Let me check in. But it's like, does that person want you to check in with him now, or do you just need to give him some space, or if someone's kind of bring something up? So that's something I struggle with, because like I'm always trying to, even as much as I like, as tired as I'm getting of like trying to be the problem solver, I'm still trying to be like, you know what how can I help this person?
And I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting to help people. I think sometimes, and it's like, because I don't think all of it is people pleasing. I think some people just have genuine hearts, like you. You have a genuine heart for people, for being there for others. And where we cross the line in that sometimes is where we put so much of others before ourselves, and we start to neglect ourselves and taking care of ourselves. So that it's like a constant thought, how do I solve other people's problems and make their life easier? And I think that's an indicator, and I can speak from my personal self, of like running away from things within yourself sometimes. Like, I know I'm a leader, and I run from it at times because I'm also introverted. It just freaks me out to talk in front of other people, mainly because I can't read their mind, so I don't know what they're thinking. And I'm being perceived, and I don't know if they're perceiving me the way I want to be perceived. But I've been working on it in a way of who cares what they're perceiving. If they're here for a specific reason, they're here for what you're saying. They're not here for you or whatever it may be. And some people may be if they're coming to support. What matters is getting done what I was tasked with doing. And the more I kind of put that in my like realm of thinking, the easier it becomes for me to do public speaking, because I hate it. Oh my God, I hate public speaking. Like, I can sing all day, but I hate public speaking just because to me it feels a bit more vulnerable just to talk to somebody. However, like I said, now my brain goes into this gear of, if this person is here though, they need to hear something you have to say. And who are you to keep them from hearing something that could really potentially change their life, bless them, or help them figure something out? Because you're in this position for a reason. I don't believe in coincidences. I think life happens as it's supposed to, including the bad stuff. And it sucks because we can't control it. But there are things in this life we can choose to do. But no matter what choice we make, whatever's supposed to happen in our life is going to happen. And we can't stop that, which is a good thing and a bad thing, but mainly a good thing, because that means all the many blessings that come for us, they're going to come. And so I just be like, okay, well, I can't stop, can't stop the public speaking, so I got to do it. But I be running from it because I don't like getting up in front of people. I like being able to be home in my bed with my books and be a hermit and watch my TV shows. Or because at one point I wanted to be famous for singing. But I used to always tell myself, what you going to do when you have to go out and paparazzi and you got to be in this place and that place, and all you really want to do is be at home with a book. Which is why I opted for the route of, let me make music my side hustle. I'm not giving up on it, but I don't mind if I never get a #1 single. Yeah, it'd be nice to win a Grammy, but that's not where my life is. And for some people, that's what they want though. But I 100% support it. Like, Victoria Monet, she's one of my favorite artists right now. She's been in the game forever. Her pen writing is immaculate. And she won her first 2 Grammys. And I remember she tweeted about it. She was in the house working for these Grammys. And I love that. For me, it's when it comes to music, I just love the expression aspect of it. And whoever's supposed to hear it, they're going to hear it. Same with public speaking. There could be some expression to it. There could be some release to it. When you just speak, when you kind of give into the fear, all right, I'm scared, but I'm going to do it anyway. And you never know what could happen or what impact it's going to have. And you may never see it. It may have an invisible domino effect. But regardless, you do what you're supposed to do. I'd rather be in a place to do what I've been tasked to do, even though I'm afraid, than to not do it. And then it got to happen another way, and it's an even harder way. I'm in the point of just I'm being real obedient with God. I don't want to be disobedient no more. I was disobedient out of my own fear. I wasn't doing things out of my own fears. I was like relationships. There were things that I did, like it was never anything like harmful. I didn't cheat. I'm not that kind of person. But there were things I didn't say out of fear. And so it's just like, who knows what would have happened if I had said it? Maybe we would have broken up earlier. Or maybe things would have changed. We don't know. But I do know I've said what I need to say now. And I'm at peace with that because I finally got to a point where I could start saying the truth in all my relationships. Like, this may be hard to hear, but I gotta say it. Because like you said, you're learning to sit with the word no. Oh my God, when I finally got good with that, no was everything that was coming out of my mouth. Can you no? But what about no? Like I just had to know somebody for a gig they booked before because they tried it. They were like, "Oh, can you do like a few songs at the beginning of this event?" Cool, that's fine. That's what I agreed to. Then I get another agreement saying 2 songs beginning, 1 at the end. I already had something to do toward the end of your event that I have to get to. So I simply said, "Hey, I can do the 2 in the beginning. Cannot do the 1 at the end because that is not what we discussed. If that's not okay, I don't mind stepping away." And they were like, "Nope, I'll adjust it. Just do 2 at the beginning." Perfect. Because if I'm not going to stand up for myself, who else will?
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to add things on me. I'm going to say no to this other part that you decided to randomly add, that you had no conversation with me about. So like saying no is beneficial because you're always not just protecting your peace or whatever people say, you're just being honest. And it makes it easier to live a lot more honest and grateful life because, life can happen regardless. Why not do it in an honest way?
Yeah, it's just like, and it kind of it messes with you like a lot, like especially that feeling of like not wanting to do something, but you still agreed to do it anyways. But while you're doing it, now you're hating it. So
Yeah.
now that's playing a toll on you as well. You did mention music, you being I know that Billboard's top 100 artists, as great as you are.
Anyways.
I want to tie that into like your work life balance. Like I definitely know that you did say like it's like a side hustle, but at least like with me, like when I'm writing, when I do like, because I'm still doing poetry, I just performed for the first time in like years out
What?
here in Portland. Yeah, it was nuts. It was that, and that's the thing with public speaking, right? Like I haven't done it in a while, so now like my heartbeat sound like a Jamaican drum. It was crazy. It was
Oh
insane.
my God. That was
And so
very serious and fast drum.
and so it's like, but it was like it was the most free I felt in a while, because it was going back to what I had done for the longest time, and then not doing it, back to doing it. So you with music, how big of a part does that play with your work life balance?
Woo, it keeps me sane, honestly.
Yeah.
Like music itself keeps me sane. Don't get me wrong, I'm used to like performing in rehearsals and things like that. And rehearsals sometimes can get on my nerves. But if it's something I'm really truly passionate about, it's not gonna get on my nerves.
Yeah.
So yeah, it really just keeps me together. It keeps me level headed. It reminds me that I am multifaceted. I'm not just a therapist or just an auntie. I am all these many things at one time. And so when it comes to writing, I don't know. I've had a block for a while where I just haven't felt like writing or not knowing how I want to capture what's been going on in my life. And so usually for me though, when it comes to writing music, they all start off as poems first. So it's easier for me to kind of write it as a poem and then pick and pull pieces to make like a chorus for music. And then I can write verses around it or I use parts of the poem for the verses. But I haven't even been able to do that in a while. Like I did start writing poems a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, like being in a relationship for the past year was helping me start to write poems again and like having that like, oh okay, this giddy feeling and like love and like, okay, I really care for this person. So I was able to write some poetry and then I was like, okay, but I'm not really feeling these going to music and things happen in relationships, but that wasn't the source anymore. Like I just didn't know what to write about. And so then I was like, okay, maybe I can just sing for a little bit. But I'm not gonna lie, I liked my little hiatus. I missed performing, but then I also didn't miss feeling like that was the only thing people saw me as. And I realized in each various like each various role that I play, whether it is as a therapist, singer, as an aunt, as a teacher, as a consultant, as a friend. Some people can only see me in one of those roles. Like that's all they ever see. And that's just the only vision they'll have of me. Whereas when I can also offer like, oh, I do these other things, people can see me a bit more nuanced. They don't see me as this one version of myself. But when it comes to music, people usually do. They tend to just be like, oh, you're this really great artist. You can sing all these beautiful things and your voice never goes out and blah, blah, blah. I have bad days. My voice has low-key been really tired the last month and a half because I've just been singing and I hadn't been singing and I hadn't been doing my vocal warm-ups and, like, it was a lot. So I've just been like, okay, I'm going to take it slow. But it keeps me sane when I do perform. It's just that I know for me that once I perform in one place, somebody going to want me to perform somewhere else. And that's not even me being conceited. I know I have a gift and I have a talent that I've really crafted. So I know how to work a room. I know how to sing certain things. But I also know what comes with that responsibility of, people want to book me now. Now I got to start saying yes and no to certain things. Especially now, like if I wasn't moving, I'd be saying yes to a lot more stuff and just enjoying the summer. But I am moving. So now it's like, I can only say yes to so many things. Like this weekend, tomorrow, will be my last gig because I really need to lock in on packing. And I'm like I'm doing something after, like I said, with my family to go see FAMU's band. Sunday is Father's Day, and that's a hard day for me. But I'm meeting up with a friend, and we're just getting brunch. And so, like, I have things I'm doing, but I also know ultimately where I need to focus right now. So it's just like with music, I can always sing in my room. I do. I'm pretty sure the neighbors be sick of me because it's not always pretty either. Like, I don't always sing how people hear me sing. No, I love to sing off key. That is my favorite thing to do in the world. So, like, I do stuff like that. Like, music just kind of keeps me going, Tells a beautiful story. It can either improve my mood, it can kind of dampen my mood, or it doesn't affect it at all. Like, I could just be singing anything, and I'd be fine the entire time. But it just keeps me balanced for the most part.
Yeah. Well, that's good though. I'm like, I think I forgot what your first track was. It wasn't Crushing, was it? No, it was Crushing. It was.
Listen, that's the first track I put out.
Yeah, that you put out. Yeah, when you put that out, I think I'm not gonna lie to you. I think I had it on repeat for like 3 days.
Oh.
I'm not gonna hold you. The shit I was telling, I was like telling like my friends around me, I'm like, I know someone who makes music, and that was like cool as hell to say. You know what I mean? And so, because obviously, like at the time, like we did poetry and performing and everything. I'm like, y'all can't hold a candle to what I'm listening to right now. I'm like showing you off and shit. So, I mean, like, but it was dope. Though. It was really cool to know like not only were we doing poetry together, but you having this crazy talent to sing and just put it out, and that was a foreign concept to me. I'm like, she doesn't even have like a blue check, and she's just putting things out there. You know what I mean? I didn't know how that worked.
Yeah, like why do I need that? That's what I'm saying. I feel like for me, it's not I have no desire to be famous or celebrity status. If it can bring in some income, that's great. That's cool. I just want to live a comfortable life. Yeah, and that's why I say whoever's supposed to hear it will be there to hear it. I don't know. I've tried out for American Idol before, and The Voice reached out for me to try out, and I went for it. Like, I didn't go and be like, I can't sing. No, I went for it, and I didn't make it through. For American Idol, I didn't make it through that round. Like, the lady even said to me, what cracked me up is she was like, wow, you have an amazing voice. It's just not what we're looking for this season.
That's what.
So it was like, okay, so it's not that I can't sing. Y'all just have a specific sound. And I want to say that year a country music artist won. I said, oh, okay, I get it.
Okay.
Y'all had a sound. There's the answer. Y'all weren't looking for another Fantasia or Jennifer Hudson. Y'all were looking for somebody else. Got you. And then when I did The Voice, I made it through the first round. I made it through like the first round of the ones that they don't show you. Then I did the second round. And then I made it through that, and then they just needed like more background information, and they just ultimately didn't choose me. I said, that's okay. Like, at least I made it a little further this time, but
Yeah, and you went for it.
yeah, and that was maybe in the last year or two, maybe 2 years. Yeah,
Because
last 2 years.
that was the last thing. That was one of the last things that we spoke about.
Yeah, so that was in the last 2
Yeah.
years. So it's just like I do pursue music in certain ways when I get opportunities, but I'm not actively seeking some of them out. Like, I would love to perform a bit more. So maybe when I get back home to Florida, I will like apply to be a so far artist. But I also want to put out more music before I do that. And for me, I just have a hard time trusting producers and engineers because I'll find some good ones, but then it's just like they'll switch up, something to happen, which is crazy because my ex partner was like about to become my producer and engineer. So that also is like, well, dang, like, do people not want to work with me? But I don't want to have that way of thinking. It's just like life happens. Maybe I wasn't supposed to work with that person. All right, cool. So I'm gonna find someone else. So that also has been like a thing when it comes to it. It tells me like maybe this isn't for me to really do like full time. Like just in my spare time with people who are just as dedicated, who maybe also have another day job, but it'll work out how it's supposed to. Like I've been featured on a project before. My homie dropped back in college, and I was featured all over that joint. I've done features for other people, sung their hooks or like did a little bridge. Did a song with my homegirl Fatima Patrice. We did After 9 p.m. And we shot a music video, and that was my first time ever doing a music video like that. So that was fun. But yeah, like I have stuff I've written, and eventually I do want to put it out. Yeah. But I'm also in a place of just trying to figure out what that looks like for me and how to incorporate it into my life because I can say I can't go without singing at all. Like I need to sing. And usually the outlet is church for me.
Yeah.
But, as I move home, I already know a church I'm going to go to. So I'll probably jump back on somebody praise and worship team and I'll be fine. And then that helps me balance out. Okay, I'm singing every Sunday. Great. Now that I have an outlet where I can do it more regularly, it's like it gives me more space to really think about how I really want to do it outside of that. I don't know. It's weird.
No, it makes sense. It makes sense. Jesus Christ. Anyways, no, that's dope though. It's like I've always like admired like your passion for music. Anytime you put something out or anytime like you would post of you just like randomly singing or just anything. You know what I mean? It's always been big for me. Because I in ways like that I look up to you with things like that. So I wanna let you know that we're like an hour in, and I realized.
Oh snap!
Yeah, it just flew out. So obviously, this podcast being named "Kept Under the Rug," there are obviously there are some things that we couldn't discuss growing up. In households, whether it's like with friendships or just family or whatever the case was, there was like those conversations that couldn't be had. How has obviously everyone has those conversations. I'm not gonna have you air out any laundry or whatever, but how has what I'm saying? How has not having those conversations with like friends and family shaped you into who you are now?
I had to do a lot of learning. I won't say I was sheltered.
Yeah.
But certain conversations weren't had just because, one, my own fears of figuring out something like, do I really want to know what I'm asking about? Two, other people's shame. I'm like, I grew up I'm African American. I don't have any other ethnicities. I'm not Caribbean or anything. And I grew up in the South. So there was a lot of shame around a lot of things. And then I also grew up Christian. So Baptist to be exact. So it's just like, yeah, there was a lot of things that didn't get talked about. However, my parents were very good about, we could always ask them questions. We can always come to them. So even if they didn't have an answer, they'd find a way to help us get an answer. So it's just like I had to do a lot of learning on some fronts because some things they just didn't know. And I think that just was because my parents were pretty like, I'm not going to say innocent, but they didn't turn up the way me and my siblings did in school and stuff. So sorry, Ma, if you're listening to this. Oh God. But they had fun. They were teenagers and young adults at one point. But me and my brothers, we definitely went a little different. And so it was just like, okay, I have to learn a lot of this stuff on my own because they didn't do that. Or when it came to certain conversations, I really was like, oh, this what people be talking about? Like, why are we talking about this? Y'all not ashamed to talk about this? Okay. And I think, if they had talked to me a little bit more about certain things, I also might not have ended up in some situations. However, some of them were like, some of it definitely was out of my control. Like, I thought the situation was well, and then it turned out the other person made a choice that put me in a very compromised position. And it was just like, oh, I have to learn this now in real time. All right.
Yeah, that's something I was just gonna ask. Or like,
Yeah.
if there were any things that, let's say, like for example, like there was something that you couldn't talk about growing up, but then you had found out later in your years, and you realized kind of why it wasn't discussed.
Oh yeah. And the one thing that I really can say is mental health. And
Yeah.
part of the reason we did start talking about it was because I really fell in love with psychology. And it wasn't that we couldn't, it was more just one of those unspoken ones. So it wasn't a don't talk about someone's health. It was more like we just don't. And
You
it
don't talk
felt
about
very
it.
like secretive, like, or like people's addictions. Because I had family members that were addicted to things and I never knew. But I could see the signs, but I also didn't know what addiction was at a young age. So it was just like, oh, this person is always like this. But come to find out it was alcohol, or they was smoking weed a lot, or they were actually doing like crack or different things. Like I can't say I can remember any family members that did like hard drugs, but I do know that alcohol is a thing in our family, and it wasn't talked about. It wasn't talked about the fact that people were drinking to numb, or they mentally were depressed. It wasn't until I actually really took an interest in psychology that I could notice, oh, this person was showing signs of depression, or this person might have had antisocial personality disorder where you're talking about them. But because in Black families, therapy was for white people, or you don't go to the street, they're going to get in your head, or whatever stereotype Black folks were taught, we weren't allowed that resource. So it was just like mental health has been the biggest stigma that I've been working really hard to undo that cycle in my family. So much that other people have now gone to therapy, or my cousins will say, like, I'm so proud of you for doing this. Like, we need more Black therapists, or they'll tell me they have a therapist, and I'm like, that's so cool. Like, I love that you have this space for yourself. Like, I'm not gonna be the family therapist. I'm just so glad y'all know that. Even then, though, I still get questions every now and then, but they're more professional based, like less clinical based, and more like, in your professional opinion, do you think this is a good place for my kid, or have you seen this symptom before? Do you have any resources? And so my family's like good on my boundary of like, I'm not gonna have therapy session with you, but I can resource you out because that's part of my job. And so yeah, I think that was it. It shaped me a lot when I got into school, because for me it also helped me uncover that I'm pretty much undiagnosed with ADHD. And if I had known I like experienced that from a young age, it would have made things make a lot more sense a lot quicker. But like the fact that like how I'm talking about packing. So I already know I'm gonna get distracted by my clothes and end up finding stuff I ain't seen in the last 4 years. But as a kid, I just thought I had a really bad attention span. So I thought that was a flaw in me. I thought, and sometimes I didn't notice I was doing it. Like my mom would tell me to clean my room, and I would actually like start cleaning, but then I'd find stuff, and then I have like a hat on, and now I have on like a lei, and now I have like 2 different socks on while I'm cleaning, and my mom is like, "What is going on?" And I'm just like, "Oh yeah, I
Like,
found
what
this
you mean?
hat." You mean like I found this hat, and then I found this lei, and I started thinking about the memory, and it was a really great day. And she's like, "But you get distracted." But if I had known that was a symptom of ADHD at that age, oh God, it would have been so simple to be like, okay, let me do one of my skills so I can get back on task. Because that's what I do now. But I didn't have that. I didn't have that skill set. So it's just like, if we had known these things, and I don't blame my parents whatsoever, they did the best they could, what they knew. And so the unspoken thing is, we got to talk about it. Even if it's uncomfortable, because there's too many kids now, especially, learning things on the internet, and it's so wrong. Like, we can't just say you have Google it now, because there's so many people that's putting misinformation on the internet on purpose, or they're spreading it on TikTok, or people hear it on TikTok so they think it's real. We're losing recipes. So I just feel like we got to start actually having conversations with people based on word of mouth and not just what we think we know, but really doing research and knowing what we're about to talk about, because it's just too much. It's too much misinformation going on.
Yeah, and I want to like backpack off of that. And when I how you were saying, well, black families thinking that like therapy is for like white people, or if you're just insane. Like when I told my mom I was first going to therapy, like it was over the phone, but she was like bawling her eyes out, crying because she had thought I was like crazy. Um, she thought I was like really like going through like something that would lead me like in a that would have to like lead to me being like checked into some kind of institute. But I told her like I need therapy so I don't get to that point. And then over the years, of me like telling her like, hey, maybe we should consider either you going to therapy, or like, or maybe other family members going to therapy, and it's just like the whole like brush off. Like, I don't need that. I'm fine. It's like if anyone were to go to look over what you had gone through in the last, I don't know, 5-10 years, you were not fine. You know what I mean? Even like little idiosyncrasy that you have now, you can definitely tell that whenever you're going through something, you sometimes like my mom would like she'd like either shy away, she would just like go in a bubble and try to like avoid everybody. But I guess if it's not for everybody, obviously I'm not gonna try to force on anybody. But there are definitely things that I would want to kind of discuss with like the family to kind of help them get over some hurdles that they have as well.
Yeah, see, and I think I realize like when you're able to notice stuff, I guess like people call it being like the cycle breaker and different things, and that's yes, we do break cycles, and at the same time we also initiate new ones. So it's just like if we're gonna initiate a cycle, let's initiate a good one.
Yeah.
Let it be a healing one, that we do have these hard conversations, because it's gonna happen. Like life is not gonna be that okay just because we stop saying the stereotype that everything will be better. No, life's still gonna happen. People still gonna disagree, have different opinions and perspectives. People still gonna be stubborn. However, yes, let's start the cycle that we at least can have these hard conversations and not put so much hope in the conversation that we'll just never have a bad cycle again. I think the point of it is really just choosing to be honest and take that step forward. Because most people get isolated as like the black sheep when they do stuff like that. So I'm really thankful my family didn't do that. Like I don't feel like the black sheep in the family. I don't feel like anything's wrong with me. But that's also because I don't force it on nobody. I'm real chill about like what I do. I actually like to not tell people I'm a therapist. Like
then
I hate listen, I hate the career question. Like when I go out somewhere and I'm just vibing and no one's talked about careers yet and I'm like, oh, this is great. And then people start asking people what they do and I go, oh no. And then they get to me and I'm like, I'm a therapist, but I'm also a singer. I really be trying to like push that one. And they'd be like, oh, that's cool. We want to hear you sing later. But therapist? Oh my God, what am I thinking? Can I come sit on your couch? Oh, girl, you got to make space for me. Like, what? I didn't just tell you as the tech bro that I need to bring my MacBook. I didn't say I'm going to bring my MacBook to you or that I want you to upgrade it or jailbreak it. No, I just said this pretty cool. How did you get in the tech? Like, why can't, it's just like that stigma itself around therapists, like that we just gonna say yes to everybody. I say no to people. Everybody cannot sit in my chair. Listen, I don't think I can ever work with serial rapists, murderers, child molesters. I can't. While I have empathy for everybody and I feel like people deserve redemption, there are just certain evils in this world that I'm like, you know what? You might be beyond repair. Life in prison is great. Stay there. Stay on death row. Wherever you are, leave me alone. But I can work with people like who cheat. Because while I don't understand cheating, that's a less, harsh offense. It's harmful. It's hurtful. Yet it's something that could be unlearned. You don't have to make that choice. And so it's just like, I do turn people down though. I don't turn people down by race. Like I don't discriminate like that. Whereas while I would love to work with more black folks, I just also know the area I'm in right now. And so it's like, it's not as many. They can't find us because we're not also able to be in all black populations and spaces all the time. And sometimes that's a hindrance because also I still got to make money. And everybody can't pay me. It's not just black people, brown people, Asian folks, indigenous folks. Everybody not making the money that some of these white folks make to pay me $125 an hour, to where they can see me weekly and not once a month. So it's like sometimes some people have to budget out for that. So like there's so many things that come into this, like into play with this. That's why I understand why mental health is like a stigma in a lot of our communities. And at the same time, there's a lot of us out there doing the work to make it accessible. People just got to be open. And it's hard because we've seen in history people be open to things and how that turns out for us. And so I get it. But we just got to be willing to take the chance on the people who are genuinely trying to do that work.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, that seems was insane. But I think we're wow, damn, we're 116 in. It's great. Damn, for first episode, it's not bad. But I do wanna ask this. Obviously, you know, like whenever I think this happens with me at least. Like, do you ever like catch yourself talking to somebody and they're going through something similar that you're going through?
Mm-hmm.
And then there are moments where you don't know what to do, but for some reason, you know exactly what to say to this person.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This question I have is, what advice would you have for anyone that's out there that feels like they don't really have a voice to kind of talk to anyone?
Mm.
What advice would you have for anyone going through anything similar that you're going through? Like, how would you advise them to kind of like push through, or you know, what steps that you think they should take?
Ooh, you know, something I do when I do things like this is I think about what I would want to say to like my younger self, or even myself from like 2 weeks ago, what I think I would need to hear. And so that's one way to do it, like envisioning what you think you really need to hear and saying it to yourself. One. Two, I would also say lean into community as much as you can. Like if it feels too overwhelming at first, that's okay. Take your time. But at least lean into one person. And if you feel like you have nobody, well, you know me. I'm like I said, I believe what I believe. You can always talk to God, or if you believe in universe, or you want to go talk to the plants. Talking in general, just talking to yourself sometimes can also be really beneficial. Like just getting the words out of your body, so that way you're not being weighed down by what you're not saying. Journaling for sure, like writing it out. Write it out. Because sometimes when we look at it on paper, we realize like, okay, yeah, that sounds very irrational, or like that feels really good to be separated from it. Because it gives you distance from what you're feeling and how you're thinking about it. Like you're feeling it internally, but now you have a space to really look at it and go, oh, okay, yeah, it's simply that. It's a feeling. It's fleeting. I'll definitely say, I guess another thing is just not beating yourself up as much as you can. Because I think the human brain, once we get used to certain patterns, whether it be people in our lives or how we work, like careers, different things, when it comes to shifting, change, and growth, it disrupts the pattern. So your brain is only trying to cling on to familiarity. And so just reminding ourselves that we always gonna, like, the one constant thing in life is change. And so the brain is only doing what it's doing because it just wants to survive. And it can't really tell the difference between like danger and trauma versus, I'm sorry, it can't tell the difference between danger, physical danger right in the moment, and trauma, or a pattern just shifting because you're trying to move. It just registers like our fear or our anxiety, and it does what it needs to keep us alive. So to remind ourselves, like, we just got to be kind to our brain. Like, hey, you're doing the best that you can, brain. That's great. But I'm not in danger right now. I'm not in any physical danger. So I'm going to do something to calm down, and then I'm going to keep moving. Like, just keep living. You have to. Because what you go through now, you probably won't even be thinking about in the next 5 years. Unless it's something like really traumatic. And even then, if you do the work, if you find somewhere to get some help, to get growth, to do those different things, you literally won't be thinking about it as much. Like, you'll probably think about it in passing and go, Oh wow, I remember when that happened. Because yeah, I'm going through a breakup now, but I can remember when I felt really bad about my other breakups
Hmm.
and how I was just like, "Oh my god, I'm never getting through this." And then next thing
You got through
you
it.
know, next thing you know, a year later, I was chilling, and it would come into my head like, "Oh wow, I got broken up with around this time last year." Huh, life goes on. Yeah, go back to Instagram or make a singing video, or I go watch a movie, or I just go do something, or I hang out with a friend, or just go to sleep. And how much like I was like, I'm gonna wake up tomorrow, life's still gonna be good. I have a job, I have a
Hmm.
career, I have people who love me. Or how like, yeah, last year around this time I was just freshly in that relationship and it was new and
Yeah.
it was like, oh, this is weird. And now I'm picking up the pieces after, but I also was able to be accountable for like it was kind of falling apart. And
Hmm.
I was doing my job to try to, keep it together or reconcile. But I can't force anybody else to do that too. And that's not a reflection of me. So being able to really just kind of sit and reflect, like hold yourself accountable for what you do and realize that other people's ways of being have nothing to do with you and who you are. You're a valuable person. You're worthy of everything you desire in your heart. If you wake up every morning, you have a purpose. God put you here for a reason. It's up to you to figure out what it is. And more than likely, He's already put it in your face. You just gotta push through the fear. So yeah, my things are really just talk to yourself, talk to someone, keep on living, reflect, and just know who you are.
No, I'm like,
Yeah.
um, no, that's great. I mean, like trying not to cry and shit,
Oh,
but no,
listen,
that's good.
listen. Tears are welcome here. I am a crier. Oh my God, listen. I'm surprised I haven't cried. I'm gonna tell you that. Like, I guess I had done enough crying. Cause don't get me wrong, I felt like the relationship was kind of like I felt like this person was pulling away. So I
Yeah,
was already experiencing, I think, the breakup before it really officially happened. So it was just
yeah.
like, I was crying, like, what did I do wrong? I don't get it. And I would just cry randomly and be like, this is stupid. But then I started realizing, yeah, this is stupid. Like, yes, I could cry over this person, but what are they really doing to come and like comfort me, console me? And then it started to make me think, can they really do that? Do they have the tools? And do I want to be with somebody who can't do that? And then I
Hmm.
was like, dang, hold on, because my worth is really high. And I need somebody that's going to like understand that
And
because I'm going
value
to
that.
see their value. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to see their value is really high as somebody I don't want to hurt. And so then that's why I say talk it out because then you'll start to really be like, yeah, I'm tripping. Like, things are great. It doesn't make the person terrible. I don't think he's a terrible human at all. I think he's a human that just has to heal. And that's going to look however it looks for him. Yes, it sucks. We have plans and life moves forward. Like, clearly,
Sure.
there's better plans for both of us in life. And so, whether that means we reconcile later in life or we both find who our real person is, it don't matter. We're going to be good because life goes on. It's not going to stop just because we made a decision. And so that's why I was like, yeah, after a while, I started thinking about who I am. Like, I bring so much to the table, and I know what kind of partner I am. I know the areas I can grow in that I'm actively working on. And so
Hmm.
it's just like, I don't want anybody that can't see me for who I am right now. And while I could see that person for who they were, I don't think they liked what they saw. And that's just what it is. And so I can't force you to fix it in 10 minutes. I wouldn't expect nobody. Listen, healing is a lifelong process. Take your time, do what you got to do, but ultimately we grow with one another and we're going to grieve the changes of one another as we go on in life. But it's a choice to choose people. And that's not even just romantically, like friendship wise. It's a choice to choose your friends. And while we can't choose our family, it's a choice to keep them in our lives. So
Hmm.
we have a lot of choices we're faced with. I always like to tell people make the choice that's really going to bring you joy, even if it may hurt at first. Make the choice that you ultimately know deep down inside I'm going to be okay with this. And I'm going to learn to be okay with this. Because life ain't going to give you no other choice. And life going to be like, here, let's go. Figure it out.
There you go.
And you be like, oh my God, wait a minute. Hold on. You be holding on like it's like a roller coaster. And you're like, wait, I don't want to go down. And But I mean, if you go down, you have nowhere else to go but up. Like one of my best friends, he always says only up from here. And I love that he says that because that's real. Like,
Yeah.
Once you hit rock bottom, you can't go any lower. So you're only going to go back up.
Bottom.
So yeah.
It's like, it reminds me of a saying that I heard like a few years ago, like something that I try to practice. It's like, how does it go? It goes, your current situation isn't your final destination.
Ooh.
You know, and it's like something that I try to keep and I practice a lot.
I want to write that one down. Listen, I love to do that.
And so I try to remind myself whenever like I'm feeling low, or whenever like I feel like I'm going through things, or even when I'm happy about something. You know what I'm saying? Because like as quick as something can be given to you, that's how quick it can be taken away. You know, so I try to remind myself to like kind of be humble in some certain situations, and obviously be grateful in others. So yeah, it gets eye opening because I catch myself getting too happy about something, then I'm like, whoa, calm the hell down. Calm down.
But see, the thing is, I think what I also want to offer to that, and I get it because I don't want to invalidate the feeling. It's more so when we when we feel that we're getting too excited, I feel like we should also investigate that too. Sorry, my therapist brain is working now. We should invest. Listen to this therapy nugget of the day. Investigate those feelings when you feel like you're enjoying something too much. Because genuinely, I don't think there's a real thing that we enjoy things too much. I think we give it what we feel. Like if we're just really happy, sit in that. Be present in the happiness and don't think. Try your best to not think, oh wait, I'm too happy. Something's gonna happen. So what? Enjoy the happiness. Enjoy the joy because we know that feelings are so fleeting. We rob ourselves sometimes of feeling our full emotion because we're so forward-minded because things have happened in the past. And I think I'm getting to a point where because I know things have happened in the past, I have to remember the good things are going to happen too. So whether or not this turns out the way I wanted to, I'm going to feel into this deeply. And I'm not going to regret it because I want to feel it. I want to acknowledge it. Now, I'm not saying be stupid and like ignore red flags or be naive. What I'm saying is allow yourself to fully feel it. And then if you feel like another feeling like, okay, this is feeling also like I got some like a weird vibe, investigate that too. We're worthy of feeling our full emotions. We shouldn't have to say, oh, I need to take a step back. Feel it. No, feel that happiness. Feel that joy. Feel the sadness. Feel the anger. Because the anger is usually just another emotion covered up. Feel the disappointment. Tell somebody you're disappointed in them. Give them a chance to make it right. Like, really feel into how you're feeling and make smart decisions after, because don't move in the feeling. Like, because if we don't feel it and you try to, like, push it back in, or you don't feel it all the way, then that's when people be like, see, I'm glad I didn't do this and that, because then this and that. But you robbed yourself of a really good moment. You know, like, you robbed yourself of the presence of just being grateful for the moment. Because that's what life is. Like, good thing we'll experience more good than bad. It just feels right now that we're experiencing more bad because with everything going on in the world and people being empathetic. However, gratefulness to me is also just even the tiny things in life. Waking up in the morning, having a roof over your head, the AC being on, having water, clean water to drink.
Yeah.
Having food, having a way to get to work, having a job, having family, having friends, having a phone, having access to the internet. Like, you got to make it as small as you need to understand, like, we have so many first world things that other countries don't. And it doesn't take away from how we feel, yet we're so blessed beyond measure that we can't allow that feeling to take up the whole space. You know? Like, yes, let it take up some. And then, like I tell my clients about this exercise, we all have like a little naysayer or somebody that's real negative. I call her Nay. She like to come in my head and she like talk her junk. And I'd be like, girl, that is so cute. Now go sit in this corner with some tea and hush. And she does. She listens because me and her have a conversation now where it's like, but why would you say that, brain? Why do you think the negative moment is needed right now? Whereas we know we can do better. We know what happened. We can reflect and we're going to move. So it's just like, it's a process. But like, yeah, feel into those emotions. Life happens. Be happy. Enjoy it.
We're gonna do just that. We're gonna do just that for sure. Zuri, I appreciate you.
Of course. I
Especially
appreciate you.
being the first guest here. That definitely means a lot. I've been trying to work up the courage to force you to do this anyways. But anyways,
oh my God.
I'm gonna hit you up and be like, hey, you don't got a choice, but we're gonna be recording.
No, but that's really how he did it, people. I want y'all to know.
Yeah. Whoa. Easy. Putting up a line out there.
I was voluntold. No, I'm playing. I actually agree.
100%. Voluntold. I was like, hey, you don't know this, but you're gonna be recording in 3 days.
I was down for it. I appreciate
every single thing, because especially us being friends as long as we gotta connect.
Junior, we're doing it. Like I don't like we were supposed
we're
to.
doing it. We're doing it this year.
Like it has to happen because
we're doing it this year.
Listen, and we're gonna have to take a picture. We're gonna have to take a picture with the podcast episode and be like, we finally did it.
Well, we could, because I definitely want to have you on here again at some point.
For sure. I'll be like the in-house.
So, and the next time we do, we're gonna like the picture is gonna be there. It's gonna be our picture, so it's gonna be It's gonna be legit. We're gonna have it done. But is there anything like you want to plug in? Anything you want to any like last minute things you want to say out to anybody?
Ew, I don't know why that just happened. What was I about to say? Well, I have an Instagram page. I have two. But we only gonna talk about one of them. So I have a wellness page called Wade the Wave. So I'm gonna be on there more active. Sooner than later. It's my mental health page. But yeah, I'm gonna be more active because I want to start talking about like the groups that I'm gonna do in Florida, and when I also be able to advertise like Florida residents. Because my goal right now is to be licensed in both states. But then once I'm licensed in one, I can also look at what I need to have the requirements to be licensed in other states. So basically, I'm trying to be licensed in as many states as I can. Without paying these people so much money, so that I can really offer my services to a lot of different people. So yeah. So my plug was just, if you want to follow me on Instagram, Wade the Waves. It's a little quiet on there right now, but I promise I'm working on like content. I'm just in the process of moving. So toward the end of the year, it'll be back up and running more. And I guess I'll say I want to plug, just loving on yourself. Not that it is a replacement for any other kind of love in your life, but it's just as important as every other type of love in your life. So yeah.
I'll make sure to add the IG page into the description. That way people can find you.
Period.
Yeah, anything else, feel free to send it to me. I'll throw it in there as well. Again, this is going to be put out on Monday, the 2-year anniversary of the elephant stomping. No, I'm just playing.
Shout out to the elephant because she handled business. Listen, I stand a queen who handles business. I get it.
Zuri, I appreciate the hell out of you. To everyone listening, I appreciate you staying in on this hour and 33 minutes. Hour 30 so minutes. But this has been Kept on the Road podcast. The first episode is in the books. Zuri, thank you again for the millionth time.
Thank you. This is important, so I appreciate it.
All right, y'all. Till next time.